Okay, welcome to the 2016 presidential debate. I'm your host, Jedi, and your candidates are Senator Fielva Byrne of the Bull Moose Party and former Secretary D-Day of the D-Day 8 Party. Our first section will be on the economy. Question 1. The economy is in the dumpster. Poverty is 34%. Homelessness is 4%, and unemployment is 18%. What would a government run by you do, if anything, to save the economy? D-Day, you may go first.
We will enslave the homeless people. They will have homes and they will have work to do. Further, we will also practice forced, voluntary, hyper-capitalistic anti-capitalism as our economic model, of course. This would allow us to, as DDI theory clearly suggests, be able to fix our economy within the matter of 6 to 8 business weeks.
Is that all?
Um, Oh yeah, we also plan on ending the fuck ass government psyop to fake a war overseas because it's just not happening and it's probably using a ton of resources to keep the psyop going, really.
Okay, wonderful. Is that all?
That will be all. Yes.
Okay. Fielva Byrne, I hope you have a good response. Senator Fielva Byrne says, I will implement a system similar to the New Deal done in real life by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Okay. Question number 2. What do you value more, maintaining a surplus or the well-being of Karvenians? D-Day, you may go first.
Well, simply put, DDI philosophy makes it very clear the two are basically the same thing, right? For example, right, we'll have a surplus of goods and everyone will have them because we're DDItes and we're just so cool. And so, everyone would have everything and it'd be so dope. And you know, because well, of course, there's also less people you have to give it to, just the amount of people that'd be executed because they're, not DDItes and all that. Also slavery, that's really gonna be the big boon to our economy that fixes everything, really. Yeah, that's all I gotta say in that regard.
Okay. Senator Fielva Byrne says, certainly the well-being of our citizens. The whole reason we would want the money from a surplus is to help our citizens. Okay, on to the next section of this debate. Foreign policy. Question number 3. Moving focus onto the war with Sahar. How would your administration handle this war? Would you pull out or would you continue the war? D-Day, you may go first.
Well, considering the fact that the war is not happening in the first place, there would be no war to pull out of or continue fighting. So I'd basically just end the government psyop programs and then execute people responsible for the psyop. That is
Wonderful.
all.
Senator Fielva Byrne of the Bull Moose Party says, we would have no troops on the ground and an orderly pullout done within the first 5 real-life days of my presidency. Pretty optimistic. Okay. Next question. Number 4. Kavilia has fallen. Would you allow Slavia to annex Kavilia, or would you handle the spread of communism across Cassia differently? D-Day, you may go first.
Well, as I said, the war is not happening, so none of this is real, right? So I will end the psyop saying that it is, right? Because something you'll notice, right, is we have all these soldiers, sailors, and airmen in the server, but they've never been mobilized, they've never deployed, they've never done anything, right? the war is literally just not happening. So therefore, Slavia hasn't done shit, right? So there's nothing happening over there. So there's nothing to confront. That is all.
And now we wait on Senator Field Byrne. Senator Field Byrne says, I believe if we do get involved, it would be to protect our allies. If Slavia tries to invade another Cato member, I think sadly it is too late to save Kavilia. I want to point out how my opponents, such as Padraig, will call me a communist, yet refuse to do anything to stop the spread of communism globally. On to the next segment of the environment. Number 5, we face within the next 15 years an existential threat to our way of life if nothing's done about the environment. How would your administration face the threat posed by the issues like global warming? D-Day, you may go first.
Well, it's not real for starters, but let's make the assumption that it is, right? All right, making the assumption that it is, with the sheer quantity of disgusting subhuman crypto unionist traders that will be executed within my first couple weeks of the presidency, we will certainly reduce our population to a point where it will probably have less of an impact to some degree. That's all.
Wonderful. Senator Field Byrne says, absolutely, I would do a lot to stop this crisis. By the end of my first term, I expect to have transferred us to at least 50% renewable energy. Our next segment is immigration. Question number 6. Illegal immigrants come to our nation and sometimes commit acts of terrorism or other violent crime. It's one of the few issues Padraig has successfully addressed as president. How would your administration handle immigration, especially illegal immigration? D-Day, you may go first.
So, what we'd do, right, is that we'd take all of these illegal immigrants coming in, and then we'd have to put them through serious ideological screening and re-education in forced labor camps, you know? And we're going to basically turn them into good Dedeites within a week, and if they fail to do so, they will be executed. Any more questions? No, didn't think so. Anyway, that's all.
Okay, wonderful. Senator Field Byrne says, if you commit a serious or violent crime, you'll be deported. But that's not the average immigrant, even illegal. The average immigrant in Karvenia comes here to work hard and provide their family with a better life. I support family values, immigrant or homegrown Karvenian. Next question, number 7. Many people argue that if someone comes here illegally and contributes in the ways citizens do, then they should be allowed to stay. Others say we are a nation of laws and those laws must be enforced. How would you handle illegal immigrants who don't commit serious or violent crimes? D-Day, you may go first.
Well, as I mentioned previously, if they are a loyal Dedeite and they go through the labor camp re-education program and they do just fine, yeah, whatever. Otherwise, whether it be forced feminization and be turned into a personal servant for a party official, whether it just be face the wall and be executed, whatever, that is all.
Senator Fieldburn says, I myself am a Christian. So, as a Christian, we are told to follow what we are taught by the Bible and Jesus. So, I will respond with a Bible verse and leave this open to interpretation. Leviticus 9:13 to 34. When a stranger sojourns with you in your land, you shall not do him wrong. The stranger who's, I don't know how to pronounce that, with you shall be to you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. On to our next section, national security. Yesterday, Slavian President Vladimir Petrov hijacked every news station in the nation and gave an anti-Karvenian address to our people. In the future, how would you prevent such a hijacking? Not Senator. Former Secretary D-Day, you may go first.
So essentially, right, as I said before, the entire war is not real. So this broadcast was just part of the greater psyop, right? And so what we do is basically just stop the psyops, which would stop, all of his stupid ass fucking broadcasts, because, as I said, not real to begin with. However, assuming it were a real threat, right? In a hypothetical where this wasn't just a fucking conspiracy theory, right? Because it's a conspiracy, right? But if it wasn't, what I do is, well, same thing. You see, we D-Dayites will make contact with the Agarthans. And once we make contact with the Agarthans, we shall utilize their real powered technology to make our technology impervious to hijacking. And that is all.
Wonderful. Senator Fieldburn says, I would consider making a law that requires monthly security checks or inspections on news stations in times where we feel more high tensions. We might make them weekly. Interesting. Now, on to one of our final sections. We are going to do direct questions. Number 9 is to you, D-Day. Former Secretary D-Day, in some of your last presidential runs, you have openly said that you'll be a dictator. You've been exposed for saying you will make Karvenia a one-party state. What do you say to ease those who believe you're a threat to our democratic way of life?
As DDI ideology clearly states, we are merely the inevitable and logical conclusion of democracy. We are actually the most democratic system in existence, as you could clearly understand if you read into DDI philosophy. Book coming soon in the near future, soon trademark. Um, and so, yeah, we're the inevitable and logical conclusion of democracy, right? You see, but I am the grand visionary, of course, and I am the most fair and honest individual you will ever meet, right? I mean, think about it. Have I lied about anything so far? I have not. I mean, fuck, the people who, the guy who posted my, fucking, what's it called? Yes, the guy who posted, right? The guy who exposed me, right? For wanting to make Karvenia a one-party state was myself. Okay, this is a very publicly stated party position. I'm not lying about anything, okay? So this is just what we believe the logical conclusion of democracy is, and this is just going to be democracy 2, basically democracy improved, you know? Anyways, that's all I had to say.
Okay, wonderful. Now,
Real
onto
quickly, I'd like to welcome my good friend Jalus here. He's a very loyal member of the DDI party.
okay. On to question 10. This is also a direct question to you, former Secretary D-Day. You said that you support slavery. As president, would you bring back the slave trade and and things like slavery as a whole?
I believe I said this earlier, but yes, absolutely. Without a single doubt in my mind, it's part of the DI way of life. Okay, it's very important, and it will fix the economy. It will fix homelessness. It will fix everything. Okay, getting rid of slavery was the most critical mistake made by any person, right? Made by any politician ever in Karvenian history, and it is very important that we bring it back. That is all.
Wow. So now the next direct question is to Senator Byrne. You are endorsed by the Slavian dictator with your already far left policies. How do you ease worries that you may be a communist? You may go. Former Senator, no wait, current Senator Phil Byrne says, I am not a communist, but Padraig refuses to stop the threat of global communism. I refuse to allow you to ignore the elephant in the room that is Padraig's allowing for the spread of communism globally. Padraig scored further right on his test than I scored left on my political compass test. Does my campaign go around screaming about Padraig being a Nazi? No. I find a real issue with my ideology to attack me on. Also, that particular endorsement from Petrov was clearly reverse psychology, because voters hate him. So he truly supports our weak President Patrick, who will allow him to trample our allies in Cassia. Okay. Next question is also for Senator Byrne. It's a direct question to you. Senator Byrne, you have proposed a total of one bill in the Senate. How do you ease worries that you're not active enough? Field Burn says, okay, at least my bills are more than two sentences, unlike Padraig. And at least I've ever been elected to anything before, unlike D Day. Okay, now is fine for last but not least. Closing statements. D Day, you may go first.
I like to point out the very blatant, petty insult from from Senator Field Burn, right? You see, I have not been elected to anything, right? But I was poised to win the last election that I took part in, However, I lost, if you remember, because I was wrongfully jailed for exercising my right to speech. Furthermore, right, your policies, right, are kind of dumb and lame, right? I'm not gonna lie. They're all like, oh, let's recolor the status quo to the color red, and then that'll fix everything. Yes. Like, no, and that's just not how it works. You gotta completely do away with it. We have to, the system's closer to collapse than it is to saving itself. So we just gotta keep going, man. So here's how this is gonna work, right? I'm gonna get elected. It's gonna be awesome, and I'm gonna have you and all the rest of the crypto unionist scum executed. That's all. So I maybe lied earlier when I said that was all. Since Senator Feel the Burn isn't really saying anything, I'm just gonna fill the void. Um, let my boys Jalus and United speak. Okay, they are integral parts of the DDI party, and they deserve their voice. Okay, like let them speak to the people.
Well, Senator Filburn says, I think it's clear that if you want someone who lives in the past, someone who threatens to end the world almost daily, someone who is owned by the billionaires, someone who is a slave to the Sicilian government, someone who will send your kids to die in a country across the world. Okay, I lost my spot. Someone who is worried about a surplus while you starve, then vote for Padraig. If you want someone who will take away your rights, bring slavery back, and deny that the problems we face are even real, vote for D-Day. But if you want someone who will fight the oligarchs, lower poverty rates, lower unemployment, lower gas prices, save the planet, preserve democracy, save the economy, then vote for Feel the Burn and Robert La Follette. Okay. That concludes our 2016 presidential debate. I hope that you all have a nice rest of your night.